Britney Spears and her new husband Sam Asghari obtained a restraining order against her ex, Jason Alexander, after he was arrested at their wedding venue hours before the ceremony, according to court documents obtained by news sources. The newlyweds were granted an emergency protective order against Jason, who was briefly married to Britney in 2004 after the 40-year-old was arrested at their wedding venue on June 9th. The doc stated that Jason must stay at least 100 yards away from Britney and Sam, as well as the pop star's Los Angeles home, until the order expires on June 17th. Jason was charged with trespassing, vandalism, and battery in connection to the incident, per booking records. He was booked on Thursday evening, hours after he showed up at the location of Britney and Sam's intimate nuptials uninvited. In an Instagram Live that was screen recorded by social media users, Jason filmed himself as he arrived at the venue and was overheard telling a worker there, "I'm here to crash the wedding because nobody is here except Sam." Where the F is the family. At the time, people were still setting up for the ceremony. In the wake of Jason's arrest, a source stated that Britney was a bit shaken up about the incident. However, she and Sam pressed on with the nuptials and tied the knot later that night in front of a star-studded crowd that included Madonna, Paris Hilton, and Selena Gomez. She had been anxious and upset but pulled through, and it ended up being a really beautiful day for her. A second source stated while speaking of the bride, "She was very emotional during the ceremony, and Sam was wiping her tears away lovingly. It was very sweet and touching." As of June 10th, Jason remains in police custody and has a court date scheduled for next week, according to a public information officer for the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. He does not have an attorney on record who can speak on his behalf. In a statement released to news outlets, Britney's attorney Matthew Rosengart confirmed that his client sought a protective order against Jason. "I want to thank Sergeant Cyrus Zade, Detective Ken Michelson, and the Ventura County Sheriff's Office for their prompt and good work, and look forward to working with law enforcement to ensure Alexander is aggressively prosecuted and hopefully convicted, as he definitely should be," he said. "This was an outrageous security breach, which I am livid about, but fortunately Britney is safe and she was a stunning and happy bride." So who exactly is Jason Alexander, and why did he want to crash Britney's wedding while wielding a knife? Jason Alexander is a childhood friend to Britney Spears. Alexander has stated years ago that he and Spears, who grew up together in Kentwood, Louisiana, had once been friends with benefits, even when she was dating Justin Timberlake. For Alexander, it all began and ended on New Year's in 2004. Spears invited him to Las Vegas and flew him there in a private jet. In an interview with ABC News correspondent John Berman, Alexander said he went thinking he would simply have a good time. "It wasn't really a booty call," he said. "It was just, a friend asking a friend to come on a trip. There was an instance when Britney and I were hanging out," Alexander said. "Justin Timberlake had called, and I was kicking it with her, kind of like the guy behind the scenes no one knew about. Then came Las Vegas, and he was behind the scenes no longer. She just came out and asked me. She was like, 'Well, let's get married.' And I was like, 'Sure. Let's do this.'" Alexander said they were drinking and had party favors. "What kind of party favors?" "Oh, everything from A to Z," Alexander said, smiling. Asked if he meant drugs, Alexander replied, "Alcohol is a drug. Coffee is a drug. Cigarette is a drug. Yeah, we were doing drugs. Whatever their state of intoxication." Alexander said he was also riding a wave of emotion. "I went with my feelings," he said. "I was in love with her. I feel like she felt the same way." They went to the Little White Wedding Chapel, exchanged vows, and posed for the infamous photo with Spears sporting a white baseball cap and a bare midriff. It all seemed so promising. Alexander confirmed there was a honeymoon of sorts. "I mean, we were in Vegas, well, we had a suite." He said, when he and Spears shared the happy news with her mother and managers. Alexander said, "Everyone went crazy because there was no prenup. They didn't want to hear anything, and Britney came back, and it ended." Alexander said, "That was pretty wild. The marriage was annulled." The annulment said Spears lacked understanding of her actions, to the extent that she was incapable of agreeing to the marriage. Bull Alexander said he claims to have signed the annulment papers because he was being a nice guy, and he hoped they might get back together. "It hurt," he said. "That was probably the hardest part about it," he said. "I had obviously got my feelings involved. I didn't get paid. I didn't make any money, directly from that," he said. He flew coach back to Louisiana. Alexander then started pursuing a career as a fighter in mixed martial arts. What did he learn? "Don't be a nice guy," he said with a laugh. "Nice guys finish last. Look out for yourself. If you are going to really get involved into a relationship with a celebrity and you are just an average Joe, make sure you are thinking business." In an interview with news sources a few months after the annulled marriage, Spears described it thus: "It was me being silly, being rebellious." In a recent short video clip released by Jason Alexander, he implies that there is money washing going on along with other illegal activities, but is very vague about who he is alleging is doing all of this. He tells his audience to follow the money and investigate everyone, including himself, that has been associated with Britney Spears. He tells his audience that they will get answers if they simply follow the money. He is not clear on what answers the audience may get, but that is the last that the public has heard from Britney's ex, Jason Alexander.
Lou Taylor, Sam Asghari, all of his sisters, everyone in his family, Kate Hudson, Larry Rudolph, Brian Spears, Jamie Lynn Spears, Lynn Spears, Jamie Spears, everybody that's been associated with Britney in the last 20 years. Even me. Let's do an investigation on me also. I think we look into what I've been learning about C Corps and S Corps and LLCs and umbrella corporations and how you're able to basically pump and dump. And if you want to know how it's legal if you do it properly, but pump and dump's not legal. And if you are washing money like from drugs or any kind of type of money you're making illegally and you're putting it into an LLC and washing that money and then dumping it and showing losses, who's got an LLC connected to Britney that's been successful in the last 15 years? Let's look into that. And this audit, though. Let's check their receipts. Let's see if it's legit, and then we'll know where the money's at. Follow the money, get answers. That's all I got.
So what do you think about all of this? Sound off in the comments down below, and I'll see you all in my next video.